Hi, everyone, and welcome for this new podcast. We are Anom and Lauren from Green Guardians, and we decided today to make a podcast instead of our usual workshops. So first of all, I will say a little word about Green Guardians because you might not know us. So Green Guardians, it's a charity based in South Glasgow, and we are aiming to deliver climate change awareness to our community. And we do it through different workshops, such as cookery workshop. We have gardening, cycling, and upcycling as well. And if I'm not wrong, and I'm not forgetting anything.
No.
No, that's good. But Anom and me are on the cookery side and household waste. So it's colleagues of ours who are doing the other workshops. And so I will let Anom explain why today we are talking about food scraps and the impact it has on our planet. On to you, Anom.
Thank you, Lauren. So we are getting more aware of agriculture negative impact on the planet. Food production is responsible 1/3 of worldwide greenhouse gas emission. All the food we waste, half of it is still edible that we don't really, know. Although we are getting very good in recycling, but wasting less food will still be even better for our planet, especially at now. An average household weighs £60 a month, almost £700 a year on the food that could have been used in our meals. And that's a whole point of this podcast today, on how we can use and rescue the things that usually goes in our brown bins, and we would never thought we can make a meal out of these things. So if you want to, yeah.
Sorry, do you imagine £700 a year? What you could do with all of this?
Oh,
if we were not wasting food, that's crazy. Yeah. So as Anom said, it's the whole point of our podcast today to help you and to discover new ways of cooking with what we usually put in the bin. So cooking with food scraps. Did you ever imagine that you could reuse most of your food scraps? So what we can do with our food scraps, and also why is it good to reuse our food scraps? That will reduce our waste when we use the food scraps which are still edible. Reduce waste, you will save money because you will be able to cook a full meal with what you usually put in the bin. So saving money, big point. And you are able to cook delicious recipes for free. This will all contribute to reducing your carbon emissions and also damaging our environment. So how to cook with food scraps? You cannot cook with every food scrap, of course. I wouldn't use the eggshell, for example, in my soup, but there's a lot you can still keep. You can keep all the fruits and veg peels. For example, you have turnip peels, tomato core, carrot tops, carrot leaves, broccoli stems, the peel of the onion, ginger peel, the courgette peel. There's a lot. The list is very long. How do you do this? The way I usually do it is when I will cook vegetables, I will keep the peels and put them in a freezing bag and in my freezer. And once the bag is full, I will cook a soup or a broth, whatever I feel like it. So you don't have to use your peelings straight away because most of the time you don't have enough to cook a soup. So it's always better to keep it in the freezer. You fill your bag every time you peel one of the veggies. And once your bag is full, you can cook something with it. Everything will be listed down in the description box. and you can go online. There are so many blogs and content out there to explain how to cook with food scraps. It's just amazing. So now, Anam, if you want to tell us through one of the recipes we have today.
Yes. So the first recipe that we have is autumn scrappy soup. And it's just all the things that we are going to freeze in that freezer bag, like Lauren said, all the peelings and things. So I go with the ingredients. It's 1 onion diced, 3 garlic cloves, sliced, 1 Ziploc bag of frozen veggies, the scraps, um, water as you need, 2 potatoes or 1 potato just to add a little bit of texture, 2-3 tablespoons of curry powder, 1 inch ginger root sliced, half teaspoon dried thyme, dried rosemary, any seasoning you like. You can always change with your according to your taste and the things you like to add or don't want to add. The recipe is just heat up a drizzle of virgin olive oil in a large pot and add your onion in it, saute for 5 minutes until the onions start to change the color. Add in the garlic for 30 seconds. If you want, you can use any optional spices. Um, just saute them until you can smell a nice aroma. And then you can just put all your veggies in the pot and stir around just to mix with the oil and with all your spices. And then add all your salt, pepper according to your taste, any other seasoning you'd like. Just put the water in, boiling water in carefully. And once the water is boiling, just reduce the heat to low, cover and simmer it for 30 to 40 minutes until the veggies are tender and soft. You can, after the veggies are soft, you can carefully put in a blender or use a hand blender to make it a nice smooth consistency. Make sure the taste, salt and pepper is good in it. And if the soup in the end gets a bit too thick, you can always add a little bit of water, or you can always add a little bit of cream in it as well, just to make it a bit more creamy. And the like we're using all the scraps bread, we always find the last couple of pieces of bread in our fridge or in our cabinet. You can always just make them into croutons, if I'm pronouncing right, Lauren.
Well, that's the way I would pronounce it too.
Croutons, yeah. And you can just add them on top, and there is your delicious hearty autumn soup ready to eat that you have not spent any money on it, and it's a proper meal for the full family.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love to do this soup, and it can be also in winter. I even do it sometimes in summer. I love soup.
Yeah, actually, in very hot days, you don't want to eat anything big and heavy, and soup is actually very good. Yeah. So if you want to go on the next recipe now, Lauren?
Yeah, definitely. And the good thing with the podcast, because usually we do a live cookery workshop. Good thing with podcast is that you can pause it and follow our instructions as you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will go with the vegetable stock. So Anam did a soup. Now we can make a vegetable stock. With the vegetable stock, you can put a bit more scraps, like the peel of the onion, things you would not eat usually, because at the end of the vegetable broth, it will still go to the compost. You will only keep the juice of it, which is very good when you make a stew or even a soup. Instead of adding mere water, you can add the vegetable stock for extra taste. So this one is really easy. It takes around 1-2 hours because it has to simmer quite a while. You can use really whatever you have in your kitchen. You add everything. It's just up to you. What we have in our recipes is onions, salt, pepper, herbs, a bag of frozen veggie scraps, like I told you before, whatever you have in your freezer, and then a drizzle of olive oil. And basically, you will put everything in your pot and simmer it for 1 to 2 hours. Up to you. The more the better, because it will really infuse the water with all the taste. Once you have simmered for 2 hours, you just have to put everything in a sieve to keep only the broth. The food scrap will be put in the compost, much better than the recycling bin. So at least in the compost, it's recycled and reused. And the broth you had made can be put either in the freezer or in the fridge up until you need it. And then it's better to use it at once, especially if you leave it in the fridge. Don't leave it for too long. I would say 1 week at most, and then use it with whatever meal you are planning to cook during your week. I don't know, Anam, what do you use it for, the broth?
So the broth, I see when I used to make my lentils, I always used to feel there's something missing. And so I started using the broth making my lentils.
Oh,
and
instead of the water.
Yeah, instead of the water. And it makes such a big difference that I don't have to add anything extra in it. So you just soak your lentils, any lentils, even if you have different types of leftover lentils, you just soak them for like half an hour, put the broth in, salt, pepper, let it simmer half an hour. Your meal is ready with some boiled leftover overnight rice or anything, or even the bread.
Yeah, I never thought of putting vegetable stock in the lentils. That's a good idea.
Like you can use anything that you will feel, oh, it's a bit bland. You can use broth. And if you make your broth a little saltier than the usual salt you put in, it will last long in your fridge because the salt will keep it fresh and preserved for a bit longer. Yeah, a day or two, a bit longer than it usually last in the fridge.
Okay, well, good tips.
Yeah. So we'll go. So we have a soup, we have a broth, and now we can go on something delicious that we all love as a snack. And this thing is a very big hit in my house because my kids just love potatoes. We are a potato family, like we love potatoes. And this recipe is potato peel crisps. The average, Brett eats 130 grams of potato per year, which makes a lot of peelings. But there's no need to waste them. Peelings
Just a moment, Anam. I think we did a little mistake in this. I'm sure it's 130 kilos of potatoes per year.
Oh, okay.
Because we have 130 grams. So I'm sure we eat more than this.
I'm sure I eat more than that.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. So it's 130 kilos of potatoes.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, definitely in my house.
Yeah.
So potato peelings are as nutritious as potato themselves and rich in fibers. This recipe also works for carrots and parsnips peelings as well. So we all we need is just potato peelings, few tablespoons of oil, any oil, seasoning, salt, pepper, any dry herb. And before you start making your peelings, just preheat your oven on 200 degrees and peel your potato with a peeler rather than a knife. Peeler will give you very thin slices that will make it more crispier. And then you can wash it nicely and then spread the peeling on a baking tray, drizzle the oil over the peeling, sprinkle your seasoning, spice, whatever you would prefer. Then use your hand to give it a good mix together until the peelings are evenly coated in the oil and seasoning. Make sure the peeling is evenly layered in your baking tray so it could get cooked evenly. and just put it in for like 8 to 10 minutes or according to your taste. Don't overcook it, then it will just get a bit bitter. But nicely brown for 8 to 10 minutes should be okay. And they taste so much better. Even some of the places, I've noticed, Lauren, that some of the supermarkets have started doing it as well.
Oh, really? Oh, that's good.
I was in somewhere, and I'm not sure I can say the marketplace, the name, supermarket's name. So I was there, and they had some vegetable peeling crisps, but I think the one we make in the house are better because
Yes,
we
yeah,
know exactly what we're eating and we're not wasting
yeah.
our peelings. And my kids really like the crisp. And you can always put these crisps in on top of your soup for extra crunch on your soup. And sometimes when I make them sandwiches, I give them a little side of crisp on the side as well, just so they don't miss out on the crisp too much.
Yeah,
So
I love them too. And I would really emphasize on the fact, don't let them more than 10 minutes.
yeah,
This is
definitely.
by experience. Last time I forgot them and there was a very thick black smoke in my kitchen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we're going to peel them thin, it's going to be a tough
Yeah.
competition, the thin line between burnt and nicely.
Yes. So the best is to stay close to the oven and check every now and then just to have something very crunchy, but avoid burning them like I did.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Thank you
yeah,
for that.
everyone loved them.
Oh, yeah. So in my house, we're you can always just put them in a jar and just keep it for, I think, for two days.
Yeah, in the fridge I do this as well, and it works really well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So I think you had an extra tip as well with involving ginger.
Yeah, so just a little tip I would like to share that I personally do. Do you know, winter time, kids are going to catch all sorts of bugs and runny nose and sore throats. So when my kids were small, someone said ginger is very good for healing purposes for the throat, but small kids are usually not very good in taking the ginger water, or even if I crush a little ginger and put in the water, they don't like the texture of the ginger. So what I usually do is, you can even take a small teapot, put some nice boiling water in it carefully, and then just put some ginger peeling in it. Put some, if you want, you can put a lemon wedge. After you squeeze the lemon, the leftover lemon, you can put that in it as well, or some couple of teaspoons of honey in it, and just let it brew for a few minutes until the water cools down a wee bit, and all the ginger healing and lemon healing gets infused in the water. And you can always give your kids that last thing at night just to soothe their throat. So sometimes, the cough, it starts at nighttime usually.
Mhm.
So last thing before going bed, if you give them that water, it really suits their throat, and it will really helps with their tickly cough. And we're using, again, a peeling that will just lie in your food bin, and but doing this, that will give your kids a good night's sleep.
I really like this tip because when I do it for myself, I peel the ginger, put
Yeah,
the peel in the bin, and
yeah,
same for the lemon. So that
yeah.
makes so much sense to use the peelings and the lemon that has been squeezed before. And
Before, yeah, and I always squeeze lemon. I always keep them in the fridge because I know I'm going to use them. And you'll be surprised the amount of taste you get from all this. Like, you won't think that you have used the peeling, but not the actual lemon juice or actual ginger in it.
no,
And at the end of the day, you feel so nice about it as well, that something that was going in the bin, you have used it.
yeah, that's really good. And that's all this podcast is about, like trying to find new ways of cooking and wasting less.
Yes, definitely. And you feel, and you, once you start doing this, you started to feel so much better about using your money, your things, and
Yeah,
yourself. You're doing all the right things.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, when I find something like this, then I'm always thinking, oh, what more could I do? If I can do this with food scrap, what else can I do?
Yeah,
And it's
definitely.
just like experimenting in the kitchen.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be so much more that we can, we have still to learn from.
Definitely, yeah. So I think that's us. Thank you so much for listening to us. Hope you will enjoy and try the recipes we love. Um, Stay tuned because we also have a cookery book coming soon. I think beginning of January, if everything goes well. And we are giving a lot of tips how to cook with leftovers and nice recipes from all our team. So this is coming in the new year. Do you have a last word to say, Anand?
Um, yeah, if like you said, the cookery book's coming, and I'm sure we will be bringing more exciting stuff and to
Definitely,
just
yeah.
keep learning. And we would, if people would like to give a feedback, how if they would like to hear more or anything like that, we will appreciate the feedback as well.
Yes, definitely. So thanks you all for staying with us so far, and hopefully you will hear from us soon. So bye everyone.
Bye.